gentlemen, welcome to a very special Monday edition of the News Hour, where you will be joined by India's top voices as far as India's COVID fight is concerned. While tonight vaccines are of utmost importance, and we're looking at a situation where this seems to be the only weapon we have against the pandemic, that has made us pay a very huge price. The fact is, vaccines are something that is causing India a lot of worry and a lot of heartache. In fact, many vaccine centers in many parts of India are shut because there are no vaccines to give to people, especially states who have been forced to go for global tenders have come back and got absolutely no response on those global tenders, and many states have had to shut down vaccinations for the age group of 18 to 44, the very, very important age group, the working age group as we've been looking at it. States which were forced to compete globally to get vaccines have been denied vaccination supply by global players like Pfizer and Moderna. In fact, even as they call for central acquisition of vaccines, a recent UK study prompted the nation to reduce the dosage gap between the first dose and the second dose after B.1.617.2 variant has proven to be less effective with just one dose, which is the first dose, and this strain has been found to infect at least 50% of Indians. Tonight we will try and get answers from our experts on the woes that we are facing. First, let's take a look at the alarming vaccine rollout dip. While the centre has claimed that India's two dominant vaccine manufacturers will be able to produce 8.5 crore jabs per month, the reality on the ground is different. And this, we're not even looking at the Sputnik vaccines, just two. Covaxin, that's Bharat Biotech, and the Serum Institute of India for Covishield should have given us 8.5 vaccines per month, but the reality doesn't show that. Going by the numbers of vaccinations, in the first 3 weeks of May, we are woefully short of our target, with a deficit of at least 3.5 crore jabs that we're not being able to complete as per our target. So why is there a mismatch in production targets and supplies on the ground? Within a month, the vaccine administration dip also has been extremely alarming. There has been a stunning 164% dip in overall numbers, while the first dose administration has fallen by 78%. It's significant to note that there has been a sensational 1,000+% dip in jabs for second doses. And now here's the spiraling effect. Just recently, we increased the gap between the first and the second dose. While India has prescribed a gap of 12 to 16 weeks, the United Kingdom, in its most recent study, has revealed that efficacy of the first dose significantly reduced in the mutant strain B.1.617.2. That is a virulent that is found in many states in India. The same strain has now been found in UK, and hence they've decided to reduce their gaps while India has increased the gap. Why is India still advocating this bigger gap? Will it prove very costly for us in our vaccine strategy? Let's ask our experts tonight. And finally, several of India's big states have decided to procure vaccines from global manufacturers, and they've hit a roadblock. Both Punjab and Delhi have been flatly refused. Maharashtra is yet to get a response. So is Odisha and Uttar Pradesh. And meanwhile, we're running out of stock, with the global vaccine suppliers only willing to talk to the centre. Is one nation, one tender the only way forward? That's the question we want to ask our experts tonight, and that is the legitimate question. Should we follow one nation, one tender for vaccines policy? That's the question and the debate on the other side.
You're watching the News Hour at 9. Debate number 1 on Times Now. Super Prime Time.
And joining me tonight, Dr. Sangeeta Reddy, Joint MD of the Apollo Hospital Group, Habil Khorakiwala, Founder Chairman of the Wockhardt Group. Also joining me tonight is Dr. N.K. Arora, Chair of the COVID Subcommittee for Vaccines. And my first question goes to Dr. Naresh Trehan, Chairman and Managing Director of Medanta. Dr. Trehan, where have we gone wrong? Because look at the production. There are just not enough vaccines, even as per the numbers that have been given by the government to the Supreme Court. 8.5 crore vaccines should be available on a monthly basis, at least 2 crores from Bharat Biotech and about 6 crores coming in from Serum Institute. But we haven't seen those kind of supplies, and states are facing a shortage. And look at the vaccination rate, dipping in every state. Where have we gone wrong, and how can we retrieve the situation?
So, Navika, it is up to the government, of course, to hold the companies accountable for the doses that they promise. So that is a separate issue. There are two things that happened. 1st of May, we opened up suddenly the entire gamut up to 18 years of age. Yes, there was a demand, but there was a methodology which was being used to go from the most vulnerable to the next step, less vulnerable, to the next vulnerable. And suddenly, this whole chaos created by this opening up immediately and everybody left on their own to acquire vaccines has caused confusion, because some people have cornered it, some people have gone and ordered big things, because the companies also want to make money. And anybody who came to give them a big order from the private sector or something, they said, okay, we'll give you. So there has been, and if you think that in the big cities there's a problem, you should go and see what's happening in the smaller cities where they don't even have the muscle to go and buy vaccines in large quantities. So there was a problem created by that. And also the states and the private sector was left to go and buy in the international arena, which nobody is responding, as you have heard already from the states. Private sector is also having problems acquiring it from overseas because of two facts. One, you don't know, there are many touts in the market saying we have so much to sell and all that. The veracity is not there. And the second thing is the companies are saying we'll only sell to the government. Okay. Second thing that's most important is increasing the gap in the dose has actually now, I hate to say I said it already, but leaving people vulnerable after one dose, and those people who are actually the most vulnerable, leaving them alone has led to huge number of people getting infection. They got no protection. So now UK study is showing us that yes, there was no protection against the new virus. So many people have died because those older people who got infected, they had no protection from their antibodies. And I think that we have, as soon as we look at the policy and try to make modifications. So what can the central government do today? They can go out and buy on behalf of the states. They can go and buy on behalf of the private sector and keep the system that it is, but at least get the better supplies right away. Because the private sector has said that we will want to vaccinate our workforce, even if it costs more. We will do it. Just go get the vaccine. So I think that this is something that ASAP should happen, that we should get vaccine from wherever it is. And one factor still stays, and we have said it 100 times, is nobody stays safe till everybody is safe. So we must vaccinate everybody, but in a sequential manner. We cannot say that younger people who do have better immunity should be taking away vaccines from the older people who are very vulnerable. And we are seeing from our hospitals what havoc it has wreaked on the older people. So I'm sorry to say, I think we need to do some course correction as soon as possible.
Sangeeta Reddy, I want to ask you. The government is telling us that, there isn't enough vaccine production even globally. Now, the question many people today are asking is that most governments have gone and booked their quantities way back. At that time, I don't know, whatever we were discussing within the country, forget the politics. The fact is that we knew what our population is. We knew what our vulnerable population is. We know what our working force population is. Have we delayed getting vaccinations from abroad? Have we missed the bus? Is there some way that we can still get it? Pfizer wants an indemnity bond, which should be waived off. The government not in a mood to do that. Do we have time? Do we have really time to go through this entire procedure, or have we already delayed it just far too much? I think you're on. You've pressed a mute button, so you'll have to unmute yourself, Sangeeta Reddy.
Yeah. Hi, Navika. Thank you for having this very important discussion.
Hi.
I think the data has clearly showed us that vaccination is the single most important armamentarium for us to fight COVID, and therefore we must find ways to get our people vaccinated. Now, clearly, we need, a significant number of doses, whether it's the 61 million doses for those above 45, we need 1.2 billion doses actually for those from the 18 to 44 category. So this is an imminent requirement. And this is not going to come from one source, because this combination, these numbers are significant. So a combination of ramping up India's capability and production, enabling, whether it's with advances, the ability for our pharmaceutical industry to buy raw material to ramp up, helping everyone who has a license. There are potentially 5 manufacturers who have been licensed with Sputnik. How do we bring them to top capacity? Then also get the international procurement, like you rightly said, we have to give the indemnity and bring in Pfizer as soon as possible. We appreciate the fact that the Pfizer vaccine has a certain temperature requirement, but those can be met in 10, 15 large cities. So put those where we can handle the temperature, send the Covaxin and Covishield into rural India. We need an integrated, concerted, combined effort. This is not the time for us to, say, let private do this and public. We need to do it together. So your first question, which was a fantastic question, which is, should there be a central procurement? So I think there definitely needs to be a global central procurement, including the enablement of the Act, the indemnity, and then an effective distribution across the states, both public and private. So that is point number one. The second very important one is to ramp up India production. And the health ministry recently came out with, I think it was day before yesterday, where they gave an estimate of the production capacity from August to December, which was adding up to 2 billion doses. Now, I think pursuing a plan like that is exactly what we need, but practically ensuring that it reaches the ground. And our current per day vaccination rate has to go up to 5 crores a day. That should be our collective target.
Well, Mr. N.K. Arora, I want to ask you that we've experimented now enough. The fact is, the global manufacturers have said that they will not supply to states individually. They need the Union of India, the sovereign government of India, to get into the procurement. And that is the only way this is going to work. We've already wasted precious time. Dr. Arora, I want to ask you, the vaccination rate is dipping, the availability is dipping, the availability is not theoretically what it is supposed to be, is not practically so on the ground, and therefore we might find as many problems as far as wastage or states crying wolf, but we know what the central distribution can do, the states can't. How long do you think we will take in getting to the decision of one nation, one tender to get the vaccines that this country needs? Because that's the only way forward, Dr. Arora. I think, Dr. Arora, even your computer's on a mute.
Yeah, sorry.
So you'll have to unmute yourself because we can't.
I am unmuted now.
Yeah.
So
Please go.
Thank you,
Yes.
Navika. You have asked 5 critical questions. You have asked about vaccine availability and quantity. You have asked about manufacturing capacity. You have asked about program procurement issues. You have asked about vaccination rate. And finally, you have also asked about dose interval in the context of UK decision. So if you allow me, I will take one by one all these 5 issues. Now, regarding the availability of the vaccine and issue of prioritization, this prioritization is absolutely important. And I think Dr. Tirhan made a very passionate appeal. He says that hospitals are full with elderly people and maximum people who are dying. And the national data exactly shows that 80% of mortality and over 90% of hospitalization is among 45 years and above. And I think that speaks volumes that how the program should go. The second is, you said delay in procurement and manufacturing capacity. So I must tell you that this country has been in the process of negotiating with both national as well as international companies, and including Pfizer and Moderna since July 2020. And I hope that people understand that there has been an embargo on these companies to the extent that there are 4, 5, or 6 countries in this world who have kind of cornered most of the supplies, and as a result, nothing is available on the ground for anybody else. 3 to 5 times more by US, Canada, UK, and 1 or 2 other countries. Even places like Germany, France, Scandinavian countries, the younger people are still not eligible to get the vaccine. They are still focusing on priority groups. So we are the kind of population.
So are you saying, allow me to interrupt you,
Yes,
allow
sir.
me to interrupt you
Yes,
right
madam.
there. Are you saying that India has no hope? India has no hope
No,
of
I'm
getting
coming.
any supplies
Navika,
from
I'm
Moderna
coming
and
to.
Pfizer?
We have all the hopes, and we will. I think the country is geared to give everybody vaccine. And let me roll out, tell you the framework. So there has been negotiation going on with Moderna and the other mRNA vaccine manufacturer. There are issues, and even when they agree, they have said not before the, immediately there is nothing available. And this, I think, states have come to know very correctly. In fact, I am associated with the COVAX, Global COVAX facility. There is no vaccine. Even if I take all the vaccine, every other nation stops vaccinating and everything is diverted. Even then, Indian requirement will not be complete. We require, as very rightly said, we require about 2 billion doses today if we want to do that. So we have to manufacture and create our own system. And therefore, the manufacturing capacity expansion is the
All
key
right.
issue.
So then allow me to interrupt you once again. Then if we know that it is domestic production that we will have to do, then why are we not licensing other companies to produce it? Mr. Khorakiwala is here. His company is producing for the United Kingdom, but he has no emergency license to produce for India. So, Mr. Arora, I get the point that our population is very large. I get the point that, US, Canada, UK are coming first in the chain. The fact is, and these are the 2 questions which are most critical. And Mr. Khorakiwala, I want to ask you, we are saying that we will get these vaccines later. I will come back to you because let's look at these 2 issues first. Let's get a response from others on the panel on these 2 issues. Mr. Khorakiwala, if you were to get an emergency license, theoretically speaking, How soon could you start producing some of these vaccines like Covaxin at least, which is an Indian licensee, and commercial deals can be possibly with the government in the middle of all of this can be signed earlier. How soon can that production begin to happen and help India's supply chain?
Let me tell you this thing, the government already worked out with some public sector to make Covaxin. And Covaxin requires a very special manufacturing facilities. But a product like Covishield or Novavax product, we should be in a position, if given proper license, to start manufacturing within 3-4 months, something between 15-20 million doses per month. But I must say one more thing here. There is so much enormous shortage of vaccine worldwide. And it will be better if we also focus, there are a number of vaccines going to get approved in next 3 to 4 months. Novavax is there. There is a German mRNA product which is there in phase 3 clinical trial, which is likely to get approved by August, September. I think we should focus simultaneously on the new entrant who are coming and book the capacity from them in addition, so that we have enough vaccine to populate our people. The positive thing which is happening today is it is in decline. Every day you see a number going down from 4 lakhs to now 2 lakhs plus. So I don't feel a vaccination, as far as the wave 2 is concerned, is a solution and answer. We need to increase vaccine availability and so forth. But I think quarter 3, that is July, September, is a very important period where we must vaccinate as many people as possible so that we don't have such a severe impact of wave 3, which is likely to happen maybe at the end of the year.
But Mr. Khorakiwala, we don't have the supplies. We don't have the supplies and the PSUs. So you spoke about PSUs. Where have we reached as far as the PSUs who were supposed to get this vaccine, Covaxin, manufacturing? How soon can they begin to produce, Mr. N.K. Arora?
So the good news is that by August, India should be having about 20 to 25 crore doses per month. The Covishield is going to ramp up to around 100 to 120 million doses. And same is true for Bharat Biotech and its 3 associates. And I think Khorakiwala very rightly understands that to manufacture Covaxin, you need very specialized manufacturing base, BSL-3 and those, because live virus has to be handled. And that is the Indian one. And therefore, there are not many in the country who are ready to do that. And these 3, and in fact, Indian Immunologicals will be the first one which will start manufacturing. But anyway, by August, I think we should have 20 to 25 crore doses per month. Meanwhile, I must also tell, and which are good news, our DNA vaccine, which is Cadila Zydus, should be there in the market or for emergency use authorization by last week of June or first week of July. Fourth one, the Sputnik manufacturing has already started today, during last 1 week or so. And these vaccines will be available by the end of July or August. So another 5 to 6 crore doses. Now we have a very promising mRNA vaccine which has entered into phase 2 during last couple of days. Phase 1 is over. And this vaccine again should be available by the end of August, our own mRNA vaccine, and they are likely to give us about 8 crore doses before December. So what I'm trying to say is, and which I think all of us understand, Dr. Khorakiwala exactly said, that we are past the hump of the current wave. Now the whole issue is that we really ramp up 2 things. One is vaccine availability, which the government has made a roadmap. And these are what I told you is not hypothetical at all. And the second thing is how we are going to implement it. these are all program-friendly vaccines. That means 4 to 8 degree, and the Sputnik, which requires minus 18 degree, we have polio vaccine and we have good experience, so that also does not require anything. Indian mRNA vaccine requires 2 to 8 degree, which is the unique component. Just let me complete. So that is one side. The second is the vaccination rate. Now, there are several factors. I would not go into the details, but let us see our capacity. In April, we were having 75,000 immunization centers. Every immunization center actually can do, and I distinctly remember Dr. Tirhan saying we can easily at one site 200 to 400 immunized people can be immunized at one center. But taking a very conservative approach, 150 people or even 100 individuals immunized at one site, one day we can immunize 7 to 8 to 9 million individuals every day. And that is a very rapid rate. Means we can go up to 1 crore per day because we have the capacity to have 100,000 immunization centers when the way it has been planned with the routine immunization. So the planning, and this is not hypothetical, vaccine availability is not going to be a constraint in 8 weeks from now. This be assured, because that is what we understand from both Covishield and Covaxin manufacturers. The Bangalore plant of Covaxin is a huge one, and they have the capacity to build.
8 weeks from now. So,
Yes.
so Dr. Trehan, allow me to get Dr. Trehan in. And Dr. Trehan, it is the June to August period where we are going to be vulnerable, not enough vaccine availability, and at a time when we have 50% supplies which the government has, the remaining 50% left for states and the private sector, 25% each. Can we have an optimum distribution system with this kind, or do you think central distribution is once again something we need to go back to, in order to tide over the dipping rate of vaccination and, of course, the availability crisis in various states?
If you want an equitable distribution system, then we should go back to the original system, because what it did was that it made it possible for anybody, even a small person in the small hospital who has requirement of 100 vials, for them to even get the access to it. So there was an equitable exchange. What happened with this, I don't know the background, but something happened which said that, okay, let's keep the central government will take 50%, and then the states and the private sector can divide up the rest. So what has happened is that even the people who have muscle in the sense of money, you can deposit it with a big company, with one of the manufacturers, and get a lion's share of the production, which is unequal, which is not fair, because that's not equitable. That means the smaller player is getting squeezed out, which is not nice. So I can, from a position of advantage, say, I can access it, and I have. But is it right? No. I think it is wrong. I think that the vaccine must go down to the last denominator, because there are elderly people everywhere. So my solution is very simple. I would say, one, we should go back to the prioritization like we did. Depending on the availability of the vaccine, we can open up. So we could, instead of saying 45 to 18 years, we could easily say 45 to 40 years, 45 to 30 years next. So as the availability comes, there will be order in the market. It will not be that the people who can afford it can deposit large sums of money with the company and get it. Second, I think the equitable system should come back.
Yeah.
Okay? So that's the important thing, that we need to keep an eye on supply-demand. If it leave it open to supply-demand mismatch, there is going to be abuse in the system.
Very well said. And Sangeeta Reddy, before I wrap up the show, I just want to ask you, can we actually go back to the prioritization? Because there are parents, like myself, whose kids fall in the 18 to 45 age group, have taken their first dose. And what if you go back to the prioritization? What happens to their second dose? Can we go back at this stage? Sangeeta Reddy?
So clearly, Navika, I think the important issue number one is to ramp up availability. And in that scenario, this distribution of 50, 25, 25 is something that has begun on a certain road. If the 50 could go to 75% in terms of actual numbers and enable the equitable distribution, and the commitments which have been made so far continue, because causing confusion, that is one of the roots of the problem. Every state is having its own policy. So in terms of policy, procurement, prioritization, we should have a national policy. In terms of implementation, we go decentralized and treat public and private on the same coin, because we're all fighting the same good fight. And finally, I do want to say that science, logic, and equity should drive our decision making so that we use the data we have. Definitely anyone who's taking a first dose, has taken a first dose, should be able to take their second dose. So science, data, and logic should really drive our decision making at this point of time. And finally, all of us are in it together.
Absolutely. Very well said. Political science cannot drive this. Pure sciences can. And Dr. Arora, you know, we've had a very fruitful debate right here. And we do hope you can take back the fact that there has to be a global tendering policy driven by the center, and there has to be a national policy as far as distribution is also concerned. We've tried, giving powers to states, but it has created more confusion in the system rather than bringing in more advantages. We need to go back to the central distribution. I hope you will take that learning back to the government table, because that is what experts have to say. Thank you very much to my esteemed panel for joining me on the News Hour tonight. I'll take a short break and the government Twitter fight coming up on the other side.